Very good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all. Uh, I just want to introduce Brian Rodriguez today. He is now officially Vice President in SNCC Parent Advocacy Committee. So, I you know him very well, a parent lead, a very active father, Rodriguez family, mother also, Janice. She is also working uh, in SNCC now. So I welcome him on board. At the same time, I would like to welcome Jitendra sir, and I'll hand it over to Brian for this session. I'm so happy to announce this. Yesterday only we have announced it, but on this session, I'm very excited for doing further things with team. Yeah, Brian, you can take it forward.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harshali, for the introduction. We're looking forward to many more years of association together. As you always say, that we need to do something great for the fraternity, and being a proud father, and connected to so many families, most of you who are online and who will be connecting with us offline also. Let's move to the move together and for the betterment as the movement what SNCC has started, and it was wonderful for us as parents also to join this movement. And as a motive and the intention has been always that for the upliftment of the community of special needs. Yes, we will try to do our best to contribute our bit, and we require all the parents support, and we want more people to join in our drive, so that we can make a better tomorrow for our kids as well as the families that are connected with us. So, having said that, I would like to invite Mr. Jitendra. Now, Mr. Jitendra is very well known now. Now, I can very well say, naam to suna hi hoga. So he is a very known person, and the special needs community, the way that he has been supporting various families of special needs, not only the special needs children, but their siblings, looking at their education, their financial needs, etc. through his organization. He has been good enough to write a special book on special needs planning, etc. And wholeheartedly, the way he has been connecting with SNCC, providing so much of information, so much of insight through various webinars since almost from the time that we have started. That now having learned so much from Mr. Jitendra, that any parent asks us anything, he has been so insightful that we can also give the answers, so much it is overwhelming it has been. And so today's topic is role of protector in a trust. So without taking much of your time, Jitendra ji, please, you can begin, sir, and welcome.
Thank you, Brian, and congratulations to you and joining SNCC and SNCC, expanding and having a board now. It's a very, very good achievement, and best of luck to SNCC and lot more to come. So you just not delaying anything, so we can start.
Mr. Jitendra,
Yeah.
voice is again low.
Okay, I'll speak a bit louder now. I think that will be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 second. Just give me a second. I'm just checking on the presentation. Okay. So we're going to talk about a little important role in a trust, and that is the role of a protector. Now, trustees have been spoken about. Trustees have spoken about settler beneficiaries. Now, there is one not known to many, the role of a protector. Not many trusts appoint protector in their private trust. So we'll try to understand what actually is the role of a protector, and why I am bringing this is to special children families, that in quite a few family situations, they are not able to appoint their family members as a trustee in their private trust. Now, so here comes the role of a protector, where the family members, they want to be involved in the trust affairs, can still be attached to the trust as a role of a protector. Today, I'm representing Special Need Estate Planners Private Limited. Now, that's an organization which advise families largely on estate and succession planning matters. So, we'll understand who is a protector, who can be a protector, why actually you need a protector, why this role is coming, and what is the their in Indian context when you want to appoint a protector in your private trust. So let's see who is a protector. Now, in general, a protector will be a person who a settler or you as a parent will appoint to direct or restrain the trustees in relation to their administration of the trust. So largely a protector is a person you appoint for looking after the affairs of the trust. So the question comes in that who is going to monitor the trust affairs. So the protector is an answer to that in a limited way. He's not a he's not going to monitor the trust from some authorized agency, but he is a person whom you will appoint among yourself, who can monitor the trust. So protector is somebody whom within your family or outside your family you will appoint just to see that the administration of the trust is being done properly. Now, generally, what is the how the trust structure is without a protector? So you, as a parent or a settler, you are creating the trust. The trustees are there in the trust for managing the trust affairs. The trust has trust assets, the property for the benefit of the beneficiary. So you have a structure of, a simple structure of a trust is that you are a settler, you are creating the trust, you identify the trustees, you define what are the trust assets, and then the benefit is passed on to the beneficiary. This is a simple trust structure anyone will plan. Now, what happens when there is a protector in the trust? The structure more or less remains the same, but there is one more layer which adds on, where in some actions of the trustees, the consent of protector is required. So that's where the change in the role comes in with respect to a trust structure. So you as a settler will contribute asset, you will create the trust, the distribution is passed on to the beneficiary, the trustee will be there to manage it, but a protector is appointed. So in some cases, some actions the trustee wants to take, the consent of protector will be required. So that's where the role of protector comes in. Now, who can be a protector? Generally, a trust protector can be any individual or a group of individuals, but those who are neither the settler nor the beneficiary nor the trustee. So the trust protector will be an individual beyond the settler, beyond the beneficiary, beyond the trustee. Now, what does it mean? That means a protector is not the someone who can create the trust, is not going to derive any benefit from the trust, and he is also not a trustee of your private trust. Now, in general, or the way trusts are created, a protector is often a relative to the beneficiary, because if you generally parents, when they look at somebody to be involved in overseeing the trust affairs, it is your relative. So protector in general, appointed in a private family trust, we have seen it's either a relative to a beneficiary, a lawyer or accountant of a settler, or a protector company. It can be a company also, to be appointed as a protector. So these are often the people, the company who are appointed as a protector in a private trust. So largely, if you look at a protector is somebody beyond the role of a trustee, beyond the role of a beneficiary, and beyond the role of a settler. Now, why there is a need of a protector? Why I am, bringing this role of a protector, to you. Now, there has been concern, and it's not in India, across the globe, there has been concern on, the functioning of a private trust, and uh, there are some areas of concern any parent would have while they are creating the trust, and these concerns would be the settler may be concerned that the trustee may not pay sufficient attention to his wishes. The trustee might not be, administering the trust as per the wishes of a settler. The settler wishes certain powers to be withheld from the trustees. So when it comes to curtailing the power of trustees in the future because it's for the benefit of your child, then that can be one of the reasons. And the settler or you as a parent, you would want that a third party should be there who can act as a main point of contact between the beneficiaries and the trustees. So largely, it is the concern of the administration of the trust for the benefit of your child from the trustee's perspective, where the need of a protector is arising. And that's why when the concerns comes in that if trustees are not trustworthy, or how can we add a layer of security in administration of the trust or overseeing the affairs, there the need of a protector is arising. Now, in general, what are the powers, can be given to protector? Now, these not specifically in India, but in in countries like US or other countries where the protector is defined. You know, there what are the powers which are generally given to the trustees? Remove and appoint trustees. A protector can remove and appoint trustees. It can approve a change of proper law, so it can actually amend the trust deed. It can approve the addition or removal of beneficiaries. A protector can approve proposed trust distribution. He can approve the appointment of any advisor, either generally or in relation to specific matters. For example, investments of funds. So now trust wants to appoint an advisor for managing investment. Then the protector, will approve the appointment. Finally, would be the person who will approve the advisor who's going to manage the investment corpus. Can approve investment recommendations, can appoint a replacement of protector. So a protector can, there can be a successor protector also. Terminate the trust or approve the termination of the trust. Now, this is I'm not talking on Indian context, but this is I'm talking in general. What are the powers which can be given to protectors? Whether all these powers should be given, or the role of a protector also should be limited. Yes, there are views related to that also, but in general, these are the powers which can be given to protectors. Now, in Indian context, the protector is not defined in the Trust Act, and so their role is unclear. Now, in India, under Indian Trust Act, the protector is not defined, and that's why the role is unclear when it comes to giving powers to protector. The trustees are defined, the beneficiaries are defined, the object property is defined, but the protector is not defined. Not mandatory for private trust. A protector is not mandatory. It's only the wish of the settler or wish of the parent to appoint a protector. So it's not mandatory for private trust. So one trust can have a protector, another trust can be without a protector. And If the role is not clear, a protector role is not clear, then can be a concern for disputes, because if a protector is given certain powers and the role remains unclear, it can create disputes between trustees and the protector. So when you look at Indian context, appointing a protector, yes, there is a layer of security you have, but you have to be very, very careful in giving powers to a protector. And that's why the trust deed has to be very clear in the role, what role is given to a protector. He's not going to, he's not a trustee, so he's not going to be responsible for day-to-day affairs. But when you give powers to a protector with respect to trust affairs, you have to bridge, you have to ensure that the trustees' power are not curtailed to an extent where it can, become a reason of dispute between these two parties. So caution has to be taken that protector provision, when you are creating the trust deed, a protector provision should ideally define empowering the protector to terminate the trustees. If you are giving that power, it should be very, very clearly defined. Empowering the protector to appoint successor protectors, whether you are giving powers to protector that he can appoint successor protectors, that should be defined very clearly, and explicitly stating that he is not a trustee and so owes no fiduciary duties to anybody or any duty to act. So let's, as I've explained, a protector is not a trustee. A trustee is, looks after day-to-day affairs, has got a fiduciary duty, towards the beneficiaries. So he is responsible for certain acts, but a protector is not a trustee, and so he might not have fiduciary responsibility, towards the beneficiaries, but still he has got a role to play. Whatever limited role you are giving to a protector, you need to ensure that the trust deed make it very clear what is their role, what are their powers, where they can, their powers are limited, and whether they have powers beyond the trustees, whether they can terminate the trustee, they can add on trustee. So the trust deed have to be very specifically mentioned that. Now coming to India, when you are creating a trust, yes, from that angle we always advise that a protector should not be given powers, because as I said, in India the protector is not mentioned in the Trust Act. So when something is not mentioned and you are appointing him wishfully, then giving huge powers to a protector can become a reason of you know uh, disputes in the later on between the trustees and the protector. So always when you are appointing a protector, you need to ensure that powers are given to an extent where the administration of the trust can become more efficient. Okay, so to an extent, appointing a protector and giving powers to them is fruitful. Now most of the families who have got a family member who is not able to come as a trustee in your trust. For example, family member is an NRI, he is not able to come as a trustee in your trust act, in your Indian trust, but still you want them to be involved in the private trust because he is the family member, and you want them to be involved in the trust affairs. The role of a protector, they can play a role of a protector and they can be involved in the trust affairs. So that's all on the protector of a trust. It's, as I said, it's a very limited role, so not much to speak on the protector. I am not going deep into legally context of the protector because that would be very difficult to understand. But as a layman, you want some of your family members or any person from your family to be involved in the trust affairs. Due to some reason, they are not being able to appoint as a trustee, or they do not want to be a trustee and do not want to manage the day-to-day affairs, then role of a protector is available to you, where you can add them as a protector in your private trust and they can be involved in overseeing the trust affairs. Yes, I'm done with my presentation, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jitendra. See, based on a presentation that you mentioned, as the National Trust doesn't define a protector.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Let me make two things clear. Okay. National Trust Act is not for private trust. National Trust Act is not for private trust. National Trust Act is completely separate. See, Indian trusts are, under Indian Trust Act. There is a separate Indian Trust Act. National Trust has only the name as National Trust. It does not monitor, even it does not look after any kind of, public or private trust, right? It is not a governing body for that. It is a body for specifically for legal guardianship. Okay, it's made for that or for some other benefits for special children families. So in your private family trust, national trust won't come into picture.
but then if there is a protector, then how's the legal standing?
See, in your private trust, wishfully you can, appoint anybody, right? Anybody, to oversee the affairs or probably to work with trustees, because it's your private trust. That flexibility you have, you can appoint anybody. But what happens is that the role of that person is not legally defined under Indian Trust Act, like a trustee, right? When you appoint a trustee powers are defined under Indian Trust Act. That these are the powers where they can be legally responsible because they are going to manage the affairs. A protector is is a person whom you're appointing with your wish, to oversee the affairs. And that's why I say that he should not be a trustee, because you are not appointing him as a trustee. You are just appointing him as, to look after, to oversee the affairs of the trust, to work with trustees for the benefit of your child. Okay, the legal standing is there. Legally, yes, if you have appointed somebody in your private trust to be involved with your child affairs, legally there is no issue. Okay, he stands very well. But as I said, when the legally, if there is the protector is not defined, then the powers are not defined. Okay, so where to put that, that where I can restrict the powers or I can give all the powers to protector for removing trustees, for managing the trust affairs. That you have to be very careful that it should not get mixed up with that. Okay, so give powers of protector to an extent where he can oversee the affairs and trustee can manage the trust affairs like a trustee.
Yeah, see, for example, if there are three trustees in an organization or a private trust, and there is one protector, which means the rights and the powers of the protector becomes much higher than the trustees. So,
Not by default, only if you give it in the trust deed. See, it is not by default. By default, it will come in when it will be mentioned under Indian Trust Act or legally, there is a mention. It is any power given to protector is not coming by default. It will only come by the virtue of what you give in the trust deed. Okay. So, because see, the power of trustee is coming by default because it is already mentioned under Indian Trust Act that these are the powers of trustees, these are the role of trustees. So that is coming by default. Protector role or protector power won't come by default. It will be only by virtue of what you give in the trust deed. Okay, so that's why the role can be different for different trusts. Okay, some parents would like to give so many powers. Some parents would like to give very limited powers. So by virtue of your trust deed, only the power will be given to the protector. So what you mention in the trust deed, that's the only power the protector has.
so basically,
yeah,
we need to be very, very sensible and careful wherein you are giving a power to a protector, because there may be a reason that condition, that after you, he may, because of some wrong decision, he may also have the power of dissolving the trustees.
if you give that power, if you give that power, he can have. but largely we say, not giving powers to an extent where, they can go on dissolving the trustee. Okay, so we always say we limit the powers of protector to an extent where, they have they can oversee the affairs of the trust. Okay, so you can give certain powers, where, see, it's a protector is become from a concern, of, of the trust structure where trustees, you do not know who are going to be the future trustees. So the role of protector is coming from there. Whenever you are giving a protector a role, it has to be in, to an extent where he can work with the trustees for the benefit of your child. Okay, because protector also is an individual. Tomorrow he is not there, some other successor protector might come in. Or even in some of the trust deed, we have said that after this protector, there will be no protector in the trust deed. Then trustees will decide. So, what structure your trust should take with respect to protector, that you have to decide. Okay, and then bring the provision in the trust deed.
Basically, once the reason for the trust, okay, that is over. So post that, you can have a limitation on the right of the protector also, right?
Yes, certainly you can have.
Okay, there is a small query from Ms. Riddhi. So as parents, we can basically mention the power and the role as a protector, what you rightly said.
Yes, yes, certainly. You have to mention it. You have to mention it because otherwise, it will be an, open, book of a power of a protector, because power of protectors are not mentioned anywhere. So you will have to mention specifically in the trust deed what he can do and what he cannot do.
So Mr. Ashok would like to say something. One moment. Can you unmute yourself, Mr. Ashok?
Yeah. Jitendra, you said about the role of protector, which is not legally defined in the trust law.
Yeah.
You said that they need to take the consent in certain matter. It's a really vague term in a certain way, that what is certain consents and what certain not. Second thing is like too many people coming in that trust deed. Now settler, trustees, protector, 3 to 5 trustees and protector. Will it not hamper the functioning of the thing where one is doing the bossgiri? I suppose the protector will be the boss of the trustees. Third thing is, can the settler himself be the protector? And fourth is, can corporate trustees be appointed as the protector with a limited role?
So, yeah. See, first of all, settler, there is no need to settler to be a protector. In the trust deed, a settler can have all the powers, right? You can have all the powers. Protector role will be coming after the lifetime of the settler. Okay. So settler is somebody who has all the powers. You can give yourself, you can keep all the powers, even taking all the decisions. You have all the powers till you are, the trustee. You are for your lifetime. So settler and protector are completely different. Protector role will largely come after the lifetime of the settler, and he will be a different person. Okay. Second, it's, as I said, it's not necessary to have a protector. If you feel, that you have 3 or 4, 5 trustees and a trust can function efficiently, don't involve a protector. A protector role, as I said, is a wishful, for the settler. If you want somebody to be involved, but he is not ready to take a role as a trustee, then you can bring him as a protector. Okay. Third, giving him powers is, under your control. As I said, you can give limited powers or you can give all the powers. That is under your control. So, give limited powers to, protector in that sense, so that the concern which you have does not arise. Okay, the trustee work, with their powers, and the protector has, powers, to a certain extent. But as I said, it's not mandatory. If your trust can function without a proper, if you feel, don't bring in the protector. But why protector is coming in, because when we have discussed a lot of families, so there was a concern that they have their family members whom they want to involve, but they cannot involve them as a trustee. So is there any role where the family member can still be involved? Now, this is the role where the family member can still be involved, not in the day-to-day affairs, not looking after the day-to-day affairs of trust, but still, with certain roles. And it's not that all the action of the trust has to be approved by the settler. It's certain action you can keep to be approved by the settler. The rest, the trustees will manage it, with their decision. Their decision will prevail. So when a certain role is not defined, clearly, you have to define the role in your trust deed. So one, it is not necessary. If you feel it is not required, don't appoint a protector. Second, you can define the role. You can define the powers. You can limit the powers to an extent where you want to.
And two more aspects you said about they need to take the consent in certain matter. What kind of matter does it? And last one you didn't answer is, can the professional trustee become a protector instead of trustee?
Okay.
Because we know the laws.
Yeah. One where they should take a consent, again you can define. See, there is no definition that these are the powers where they will have to take a consent. You are going to define. So you can keep investment decision out, and you can have decision of appointing new trustee. They will have to take a consent. Okay. Or you can define any other role where they might have to take a consent. Where they trustee will have to take a consent from a protector, you are going to define when you are drafting the trustee. Okay, you are going to define. The second, yes, a company can come in as a protector.
Thank you.
Mr. Aditya Shah also would like to ask some question. Can you unmute yourself, Mr. Aditya?
Yes, I just wanted to know, Jitendra sir,
Yes, Aditya.
wanted to know, yesterday my father was birthday, they was celebrated. Yeah, and he was yesterday's birthday. So wish him happy birthday to my father.
Yes, happy birthday to your
Yeah.
father.
Wish you happy birthday, Dr. Ashok.
Dr. Shah, you're mute.
Wish you happy birthday, Dr. Ashok.
Wish you a very, very happy birthday, sir, and welcome to our SNCC advisory board also.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was remembering the birthday dates also.
Great, Aditya.
Okay. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, then Ms. Sugandha also asking a query. Is there any limit on the number of protectors? Like, can it be more than one, or how is it?
You want to appoint, you can appoint a joint protector. If you have two family members, you want to appoint them as joint protectors, appoint them. But then, as I said, you will have to clearly define how the decision making will be done. From the two protectors, whose decision will prevail. Whether they should, their board decision prevail. So it shouldn't become a complicated trust, rather than a simple trust. So maybe, it might be good to have a successor protector rather than having both of them as a joint protector. Why not have a successor protector?
Okay. So we'd like to know, like, if any more of the participants have any queries. I think this topic itself is very limited, like, based on the Indian standards,
Yes.
because there is nothing defined as such. And so many of insightful topics that we have already discussed, there is very less which could be covered on this. But then still, having said that, this is an important one, because a protector can define a lot of things, if someone...
A role of a protector is important for families, who go to special time, because as I said, there is a concern where they are not able to involve family members whom they want in the trust. Okay, then the protector becomes a role where they can get them involved, and protector role is limited. A trustee role is wide enough because he's going to manage the trust affairs. A protector role is largely for decision making in certain contexts. Let's look at, okay, he's largely there only for decision making, where he has to give consent, or he's going to be involved just in some of the discussions where his consent would be required. So when you appoint somebody just to oversee the affairs, so his role is limited. Like a chairman of a company, his role is very limited. Everybody else is working, his role is limited. Same way is a protector. Okay, so that way, and that's why such a limited talk on that. But yes, it is an important context for the families, because the scope of having your family members involved in the trust affair increases with the role of a protector. Plus, your family member would also be ready to take this role, because the trustee role they would really find it difficult, because they will have to understand the role of a trustee. It's a legal responsibility they are taking. So not all family members are comfortable with it.
Also, can this protector withdraw himself? Like the last session you mentioned, like, for example, a trustee, if he wants to withdraw, he cannot do it. He has to officially legally do that. So something like that applies even to a protector?
To an extent, yes, because once a protector, role is defined in the trust deed, okay, largely what would happen if the protector, withdraw from it, then the certain decision where consent of protector was required, the trustees will have to take that decision. Though all these things are defined in the trust deed, you have to define in the trust deed if there is a protector, how the decision making will happen.
Most of the points have already been covered. Okay, fine. So we wind up with this session. Thank you so much, Mr. Jitendra, for being so informative always, like,
We have one more raised hand. I can see Shabana Ahmed.
Yes, just now, yes.
Yeah.
So, Shabaz, can you unmute yourself?
Abhi asks.
I think it's by mistake, maybe. Second hand we can raise Paramita Chakravarti ji.
Yes, Ms. Paramita, you can. I unmuted you.
Hi, thank you so much. Quick question. Is there a place where I can look up resources and have a template of what all can or cannot be allowed to a protector? I'd like to think about it and discuss it with family members, but I'd like to have a few pointers that I can print out and then have the conversation.
Okay, so in Indian context, you won't find any information related to this. But yes, in US context or otherwise, you will find this information available. But then, as I said, there the law itself defines the role of a protector. In India, it will not define in the Trust Act. So, and that's where defining the role of a protector now comes individually to you as a settler of the trust. What role you would like to define. But yes. A document like something, who is the protector and what role you can give it to the protector. So we have already written on that. Maybe, we can just make it a, ebook on that and we can share it with you.
Yes, maybe some template or something like basic guidelines because a lot many times, right, we do not, we may miss out on some things, but if there is general guideline, maybe it could help,
One thing I tell you, whenever you are creating a trust deed and if you are appointing a protector, it's wiser to consult a legal professional in India. As I said, it's not defined. Okay, so what role, responsibilities, what powers you are giving to a trustee, to a protector, it will be good if the legal professional can define it. Okay, so most of the families, ask me template of a trust, and they want to create a trust. But I would say, provisions like these, it's wiser to have consult a legal professional and then create these, because this will create issues if you have not defined the rule clearly, or if somebody else has defined and you have just copied that rule. I think that shouldn't be done. Okay, so especially for the role of a protector.
I agree completely, Mr. Solanki, but the template helps because you have a conversation with a larger family and explain why you have chosen, and it becomes very easy to have a defined role with different family members, especially when there is a special child involved. Everybody wants to help, etc., and it becomes complicated. So a template helps in that sense, to have a basic framework so that the parents can have a discussion on each and every point and each and every role, and then extend it to a wider audience and then educate them and go forward.
We can share a note on that. We can share a note on that. Protector, what role you can give, what role, where you can, have issues tomorrow, with the trust. So that note we can share it with you. As
Yes.
such, there is no, as I said, there is nothing defined. So there is nothing, no information available. But yes, we can share a note with you.
That sounds lovely. Thank you very much. Very appreciated.
Yes, Mr. Jitendra has always been supportive, to extend his guidance, his support to a lot of families of special needs. So if anyone wants any sort of support in all these, say trust or a will or a deed, or else say even financial planning of investments, etc. So you can reach out to him any moment, and he'll be kind enough to support with his massive experience that he has got. So, so we'll wind up for the day. Thank you, Mr. Jitendra, and thank you everyone for joining in for one more great session from Mr. Jitendra.
Thank you so much for this series of webinars for July, and before that also. I mean, very much helpful session we had with you, sir. Thank you so much. And we'll come up with more on this, but we'll announce it soon. Yeah.
Yes, and we do have a lot of these recordings on SNEED's YouTube channel, okay, wherein you can have an access and a ready reference and a reckoning in case if you miss out on any session. So we can basically make use of these resources. So you can always subscribe to the YouTube channel, so to be updated on all this.
Yes. Okay. We'll wrap up here. Thank you so
Yes.
much for joining,
Thank you.
parents.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bye-bye and good night.
Bye-bye.